to you from a basement studio somewhere down under. It's the 80s Show with Australia's Retro Man. On tonight's show, Retro Man unboxes the Cliff Richard Blu-ray, The Great 80 Tour. Well, what are we waiting for? Lights, camera, Retro Man.
G'day viewers, Retro Man here and welcome to the 80s Show. Now today I have another unboxing video. That's right, it's one of my favourite things to do is unbox parcels. Here we go, I've got this one here. Wonder where this is from. It's actually from my favourite shopping destination, Amazon. Doesn't quite look like an Amazon parcel, but it is. This is a Blu-ray and it's going to be exciting to open this. It's not exactly a bona fide 80s item, but it's a concert featuring a performer that made quite an indelible imprint on the 80s. Now the man I'm talking about is Mr. Cliff Richard, the guy from Lucknow, India, who was once known as Harry Webb. That was his original name before he adopted the stage name Cliff Richard. Now he's an amazing singer. He's had a career that began in the 1950s right through to today. Now the significance of this item is that it represents 80 years of Cliff Richard in the music industry. And this Blu-ray concert is in fact called Cliff Richard The Great 80 Tour. It was shot back in 2021, last year, at the Royal Albert Hall. And it represents 80 years of Cliff. He had his 80th birthday in 2020. He was in fact 81 when he shot this concert, and they had to delay it due to the COVID pandemic. But he got around to it at 81 years of age, and all reports have indicated that it's a spectacular concert. So I'm definitely looking forward to checking this out. So I'll just put it aside for the moment and I'll give you a little bit more background information on Cliff. Now, I discovered him in the 1980s with the classic track Wired for Sound. It was a revolutionary music video that featured Cliff on roller skates with a Walkman, and I'm sure you've seen it. It was quite memorable. Later on in the 80s, he came out with another track called Some People, which had a very intriguing music video behind it, and Cliff certainly jumped around from era to era and left an imprint. And I must not forget another classic music video that Cliff was involved in the 1980s, which featured the Young Ones. Do you remember that TV show? Well, those comedians from the Young Ones got together with Cliff and they had a hit song called Living Doll, which was a recreation of one of Cliff's earlier hits. And that was especially memorable in the 80s. So Cliff, from decade to decade, he transforms and he's the man. He's back on the scene. And now we have the Great 80. So before I open this, I'll just tell you another thing. Cliff actually in his early years was a bit of an actor. And you may recall he was in a little movie called The Young Ones. There was also a title track that went along with that. And shortly after, Cliff and his backing band, The Shadows, had another tremendous movie hit with Summer Holiday, which also spawned a fantastic soundtrack. So yeah, I'm well aware of Cliff. He was quite a sensation in Australia over the years. He's performed here many times. I actually have a Blu-ray here of him performing in Australia. So he's definitely a guy that has a great voice. He has a dynamic stage presence, and he's a consummate gentleman, and I think that's what his fans appreciate. So it's all of these things combined that make Cliff Richard a very impressive performer. So without further ado, let's open it up. Cliff Richard, the Great 80. Here's the package. Here are my silver snippers. So let's go for it, guys. This is it. Bang, 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 bang. Whoa. Bang, bang, bang. Geez, this one's a bit tougher than normal to cut through. There we go. We got it here. That's it. That's the Blu-ray right there. Cliff Richard, the Great 80 Tour, filmed live at the Royal Albert Hall in 2021. This is going to be a spectacular watch. Actually, why don't I open it up and we'll check it out. Okay, let's get the wrapping off old Cliff here. There we go. Bust it open. There's the wrapping. Wow. Cliff Richard, the Great 80 Tour. Shot of him with the guitar on the front. We open it up. Oh, there's a set list. Now, what I'm hoping is that there's at least a couple of 80s songs on the set list. I will confirm that in a moment. That's the back there, another shot of Cliff. Special feature, interview with Cliff Richard. So let's get back in here and check out the set list. Wow. I can't believe it. The first song on the concert is the one that I mentioned. It's Wired for Sound. Fantastic stuff, that big hit for Cliff in the 80s. And as we go down there, there's plenty of other great songs. So yeah, kicks off with Wired for Sound. This is definitely one to watch. I'm looking forward to checking out Cliff Richard, the Great 80 Tour. Wow. So there we have it, Cliff Richard. I'm looking forward to this one. And see this book here called Cliff History? This is another interesting item that I have. This book goes through Cliff's career in a very entertaining way. In fact, it's a photographic memoir. So I might pop back and we'll take a look at that another time. In the meantime, I've got some watching to do. I'm looking forward to checking out the tunes on here, especially Cliff singing Wired for Sound at 81 years of age. It should be great.
It's music I found, and I'm wired for sound.
So there we go, guys. Cliff Richard, the Great 80 Tour. Have you seen it? So yeah, this Cliff concert actually popped up in cinemas late last year. So if you happen to see it on the big screen, tell me what you thought about it. In the meantime, tell us what you think about Cliff Richard. He's a consummate professional, a great singer, and really, how unprecedented is that? 80 years in the industry and still going. That's Cliff Richard. Anyway, guys, the more I think about it, I might come back with a Cliff Richard video on his best songs of the 1980s. That would be something. So Cliff Richard, the Great 80 Tour, celebrating 80 years of Cliff. Wow, it's been a pleasure, guys. I can't wait to check this one out. So that's it for today. Thanks for watching the 80s show. This is Retro Man, living the dream, 80s style. Stay gold. Ooh. I'm just a crying, walking, talking, living on.
Thanks for watching. Retro Man will return faster than a boomerang and with vocal dynamics just as impressive as Cliff Richard. Sir Cliff, that is. Please subscribe and good night, viewers.